Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page where I do this live stream. I was going to call it a daily live stream, but it's kind of hard for me to call it that since I haven't done one since Thursday. Um, but welcome to the show, the daily live stream and group card draw. Today is Tuesday, May 21st. Yes. And it's a cloudy, cold day here in northwestern Wisconsin. It almost feels like fall today. Yikes, right? We went right past spring and into fall. Didn't even cover when it was summer. Oh well, it's yeah, but the buds are still out on the trees. I can see some of the maple trees that are leafing out, and I noticed the oak tree, the huge oak tree behind our house, has leafed out. So that's got to say spring, right? Right. So one of the things that we always do on our live stream shows here at Star Nations is we share, we like and share, and so I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to find our live stream, and I'm going to like it and share it. And I invite you to do the same, even if you just share it with one person, somebody that you think that might enjoy the show, or share it to your timeline. That's what I'm doing. I'm sharing mine to the timeline, my newsfeed, and just letting my friends know that I'm live streaming. We do know a little bit about Facebook. Just when we think we understand it, oh man, they changed something. And they've done that again, right, in the last month or two. But one thing that remains the same is that they really like it when we like, and when we share, and when we comment. Yeah, the live stream, I mean, it's easier to find, right? And, you know what it's like, right? When you're looking for good information and somebody shares something and you think, oh, that's really good. So if you find it helpful, enjoyable, a good conversation about spirit, why not share it, right? Somebody might be looking for it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing with my friends and letting them know that I'm live streaming right now, and asking them to please join. There we go. There. Doesn't take long. Doesn't take long at all. Yeah. Well, look who's here. Julie Shumway Hill's here. Yay, Julie. It's always good to see you in the chats. Julie also happens to be our Star Nations Academy manager, and she helps me with the classes and helping to do the registrations and answering questions and really taking care of the attendees. And thank you, Julie. With all your help, we had a really, really good drum making workshop over in Lyons, Michigan this past weekend. So thank you so much. I'm grateful. I am so grateful for you. And Rob is here too. He says, you do it every day except for the days you don't. Exactly. So I'm kind of reliable that way. Good to have you here, Rob. It's always good to see you in the chat too. And look, Marie's here too. Loved and shared. Thank you so much, Marie. I'm hoping that you got your subscription thing taken care of. I took a look and, well, cross the fingers, right? Cross the fingers. Technology is grand, right? When it works, and when it doesn't, boy, do we really notice it, don't we? Yeah. In fact, over the weekend, the drum making workshop that I taught, it's the first one I've taught in a big group like that. We had 14 people in probably 4 years, and it was fun. It was like, not really going home again, but it was returning to my roots, so to speak, right? And it was so much fun. I took my laptop with me because I figured I'd have to do some work while I was there, but it turned out that I couldn't do any because the Wi-Fi that's at Minnie's house isn't real reliable, and I know how much data space and how much memory and how much juice the things that I do create, and I didn't want to draw down their data use. So that's why you guys didn't see me much on Facebook at all, or social media this past weekend. So yeah, it was fun though. We had a good time. Yeah, Rob says he swears by technology. Well, don't swear too hard at it until it breaks, and then we swear a lot, right? That's right. Oh my gosh. So there was a total of 14 drums made this weekend, and that was I think it was eight. George is here with me today. Um, 8 buffalo and six elk. And let me tell you, it was. I have my hands on everybody's drum, right? Because just getting them started, and especially the buffalo, because those are really hard to stretch. And so, but I had a good time, and I know that from the comments and the pictures that showed up on Facebook, finally saw them last night. Yeah, it was a good class. We have another one coming up in August on the 17th. For those who are interested. Something else that was really kind of nice came out of that class this weekend. A couple of people brought drums that they had made years ago. One was with me, and one was like from, I don't know, 20-something years ago in a class that she had taken. One had a minor tear in it, and the other one had a major tear. And wanting me to look at it and give them some information and some possibilities on what they can do to repair or not repair their drums. And so we took a little time to do that. And Minnie actually has one too, and so do I. And I think Rob does too, right, Rob? And so I'm putting together a class. I don't even know if I want to call it a class. I'll think of a really good title for it. It's really about coming together and bringing our injured and our injured drums to be able to either fix them or to recreate them into something else. And I totally believe that there is a spirit that resides in the drum. And so when we take apart a drum, as much as we have a ceremony and ritual to put together a drum to create one, there's one to deconstruct it, right? And so, so I'm thinking probably not. I don't know if I can fit it in this fall. We'll have to really take a close look at the calendar and see if we can fit one in this year. So, yeah, it was a kind of a light bulb moment, right? Because I have like 5 or 6 people who have drums that need some attention that way. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to put together another class, but this one, I don't even really want to call it a class. It's going to be a ceremony to deconstruct, repair, heal the drum, and if necessary, to release the spirit that's there to create something new with the hide. So we'll see how that all comes together, right? Right. And so, yes, Athena developed a major tear within days of me moving out in 2017. Part of her medicine was Phoenix. Yeah, it's probably, the Phoenix medicine is probably still there. It feels that way anyway. Yeah, so watch for that gathering. I'm not going to call it a class. Watch for that healing gathering for our drums, and because I have one too. I have a horse drum that one of the holes as it was drying ripped out, and so I need to punch another hole in there and restring it. So I have one too. All right, so today's cards. It was kind of nice to get back to it today. For those who don't know, we're using the Lakota Sweat Lodge cards this month. And the cards are by Chief Archie Fire Lame Deer and Helen Sarkis. Right? Copyrighted 1993, and it's out of print. You can get them used, but they're still really good information. And I like the cards. I like the feel of them, right? The feel of them. So we actually have 3 cards today. I know, 3, right? It's a lot. And so the first card that comes today is Yian. Eon. Don't pronounce the ends, right? So, Ia. It's got to be Ia. They have the ends, but they're silent. Ia. And it is about the spirit of man. And the higher self. The higher self. I really like this picture. Yeah. So in the background, you have the mountains, but you also have buffalo, Tatanka, in the background, right? A herd of buffalo, the mountains, trees. It looks like he's standing on a mound or a mountain. Yeah. He's got his bow. Ia, spirit of man, also the higher self, the higher aspect of ourselves. And this author, they have a channeled message with each card. And this is the message with this particular card. It says, I speak to you from inside yourself. I speak to you inside yourself. I am yourself. I am that in you that knows that I am the creator. I am that in you that knows I am eternal. I am that in you that sees the creator in all things. I am that in you that speaks of truth. I am your own self. I am the navigator through experience. I am you. I am your brother and your mother, and each two-legged who walks this earth. It's about the higher self. So that our higher self knows that we're connected to all of creation. And that we carry that God spark, that creator spark within us. And that our soul or our higher self is eternal, right? Whereas our physical body is not. And I think we can all probably agree with that. The higher self. And the higher self, in my formal education in college, my undergrad is in psychology with a human services emphasis. And I had always been fascinated with human psychology, even in high school and grade school. Fascinated with it. Was reading anything I could get my hands on about it. That's where I learned how one of my gifts is being a good listener, right? And in that study, it's one thing I learned about, and that is how we've taken our aspects of ourself, that higher self, the conscious self, and the inner child or subconscious self, and we've taken them apart, taken ourselves apart to examine each of those aspects, and from many different directions and perspectives, right? And now that we've been down this road a ways with this kind of way of looking at ourselves, it's almost to the point where many people consider their higher self or their soul or their spirit outside of themselves, are not really part of this conscious being. And if they believe in the inner child, that inner child is somewhere over there, that it's not, that part of you isn't residing inside of you. And so we see ourselves in three or more fractions, right? And we did that. We did that to ourselves in order to study ourselves. Several years ago, I want to say at least at least 20 years. 20 years. Um, I started working on pulling myself together, and seeing myself as a whole being, that there's these aspects of myself that are not separate from me, but they comprise the entire or the whole me, right? Yeah. And for me, that was a concept that, um, I understood at a primal or base level, right? But at the intellectual level is where I truly understood the different aspects and how we separated them out. And in many times, I still hear people talking about themselves like that. Did you ever catch yourself doing that? You know, you're talking about your inner child and talking about that part of you as if it's separate from you or not even a part of you. And they blame the inner child for all sorts of stuff, right? Um, yeah, and so pulling ourselves together. As a Native American, and an enrolled member in a tribal nation, we even do that within our own nations, right? If you're enrolled, you have to, well, depending on their bylaws, the tribal bylaws, it depends on how the blood quantum, it's called, and how they define that. And so it's like we see ourselves as in fractions. I'm a quarter this, I'm an eighth that, I'm half this or half that, rather than talking about ourselves as a whole being, and that those aspects of ourselves is just that. They're just one facet of the whole, right? A few years ago, I was at Forest County Potawatomi Reservation. I was over there, I was visiting, and we went into the library. And in the library, connected to the library, is also their tribal museum, right? And so was able to go in and take a look at some of the historic pieces, and find my grandfather's name and or people that he knew, and because they stayed in the state and became what's now known as the Forest County Potawatomi. And there are 9 bands of the Potawatomi Nation. And it's not that we see ourselves as separate, um, but that's how the federal government sees us, right? As separate entities that fall under the Potawatomi. But there was the librarian there at Forest County Potawatomi, and I was asking about something. I don't even remember what it was. And he says, "Well, you're Potawatomi, right?" I said, "Yep, I am enrolled member." And he says, "It doesn't matter if your relatives are down in Kansas or up in Canada or wherever the 9 bands are, right? It doesn't matter. We're all one people." And he was the first one to actually say that out loud, in a way that I was thinking, holy smokes, we're turning a corner here, right? That we're not seeing ourselves as these bits and pieces, but seeing ourselves as a whole. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard sometimes it's hard to wrap our mental mind around something like that. And I think it's because we spend a lot of our time considering our different bits and pieces, right? Yeah. Hey, Andrea's here. Hello, Andrea. Good to have you here. Sorry I didn't see your name earlier. I was just scrolling through the posts. Looks like Stephanie is here. She's telling us all about what's coming up at Star Nations. It's a lot of information there. Yeah. Oh, and Polly Joe's here. Hello, Polly Joe. Good to see you here, lady. And Rob, what do you know, Polly Joe? Whenever I see that, I always smile. All right, so here's the first card that came. Eon, and it means spirit of man, and it's talking about our higher self, our soul, our spirit self. right? All right. And so here is the tradition, the Lakota tradition around this concept of Iya, spirit of man. It says Wakantanka created Iya, the human spirit, so that people would understand their life and their death. The Creator said, I will give you a spirit, and you will know that life is nothing but circles, the universal circle, a circle without end. The spirit is eternal and never stops traveling the circle of life. The body I give you does not belong to you. It belongs to me, who created all things. The body I give you belongs to the Earth Mother and shall return to her. When your life ends, your body will return to the earth and your spirit will go on to the spirit world. That's our human spirit. And so by drawing this card, this is what the author says about the card. She says, our spirit is that which connects us to the eternal, to our source, and to all things. Acknowledge your essential identity, your higher self. You have the resources within to handle all situations, to make all decisions, to answer all questions. It is easy for us to lose sight of this. Often we look outward for answers and direction and accept influences that may not be suited for us. And when I read that earlier this morning, I had to agree that, especially when we first start out on our spiritual journey here, when we're just recently woken up, right? We spend a lot of time gathering information outside of ourselves and taking in that kind of information from our spiritual teachers, from our spiritual community, that sort of thing, right? We spend a lot of time not trusting ourselves, not trusting our own intuition, not trusting that we know the answers or that we can discern for ourselves. We're afraid of being wrong, right? Making the wrong move. So if we agree with someone else, then it takes away some of the sting of if you are wrong, because they got it wrong too. Right? Yeah. So we spend a lot of time searching outside of ourselves. And I think that's a part of our development, our maturation. Yeah. Our soul maturation, right? Our spiritual maturation. Watching, looking, seeing what's going on outside of us ourselves to help us understand, or to put a label, to call something that we're going through, to understand it. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work though. Sometimes that we have to discern for ourselves, right? And so she goes on to say is remember to seek guidance within and do so with patience and trust. Your inborn support and guidance are there at all times, not some of the time, not 9 to 5, not Monday through Friday. No, it's there all the time, 24/7, 365. It says that your answer will come through symbols and messages best suited to your own perceptions, through dreams, a chance meeting, a quotation in a book, or by any of the other numbers of paths. Some answers come immediately, some overnight, and others may be received at some time in the future. Only when you reach the level of wisdom or experience to truly understand the full range of matter in question, whatever the time frame or method, it is your role to trust without preconceptions that the guidance will be provided. So in other words, we ask for the help, but our help may come in a way that we would least expect it, right? Yeah. We talk about coincidences. We talk about synchronicities. That if we are consciously living our lives, we take those all in, right? And we recognize them, we see them. And we work at putting them together with what we're going through to try to understand as best we can, even better than, right? To understand it better. All right. She goes on to say, is whatever the time frame or method, it is your role to trust without preconceptions that guidance will be provided. The meditation is, I acknowledge the truth that lives in my being. Through experience, I learn to trust my inner knowing and honor the whole of my being. The whole of my being. So, with Iya, spirit of man, our higher self, it feels to me like we're learning how, or remembering how, is probably a better way to put it, how to discern for ourselves. How do we go about taking in the information and making our own decisions, right? Not being led by anybody in particular, but to actually to reach inside of ourselves to find the answer, to locate it, to remember it, right? Because so many times we don't even understand. We don't understand what just happened. It's like we need some clarity. And trying to bring together the different synchronicities, the different signs, right? Yeah. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Hey, Bobby's here. Hello, Bobby. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. We kind of missed you. And Rob says, I'll have to check the archives. Remember that the talk we had about swearing at technology? He's at work, so he probably had a technological problem going on that he had to go look at. Says he's back. He said it was simple. Good for you. Yay. Didn't take long. And speaking of technology, Stephanie's saying share function isn't working properly again. Rats. Yeah. Technology's grand, right? When it works. All right. So, we get this card called Iya in Lakota. And it's a spirit of man. It's about our higher self. And I truly believe that this card is bringing to us information about trusting ourselves to discern for ourselves what is a truth for us individually, right? And how it affects our lives. And perhaps, maybe for some of us, it really is about healing an aspect or an event or a trauma that occurred so that we can trust our intuition more than we have, right? I think we've all experienced that. Not trusting our own intuition, questioning it, depending on others to give us information so that we can make a decision. And so in some ways, we give away our power when we do that. Yeah. Sometimes we give our power to a reader, right? Because they're clairvoyant, or we think that they know more than we do about our own lives. But I have to say, that our higher self is that part of us that is so plugged into the universe, the creator, the collective consciousness. and brings that information through to us through using our intuition, right? Yeah. So how do you view yourself? Do you think of yourself as a whole being where there is no demarcation lines between your higher self, your conscious self, and your inner child, right? Your subconscious self. That those aspects of ourselves that we work in concert with each other, not against each other, but in concert with each other to create the whole. I know, easier said than done, right? Yeah, it is. It's easier said than done because we have to do our own due diligence. We have to do our own healing work. We have to do our own research, right? For it to really mean something. Our higher self. All right. So then the second card, Sicun. Sicun. This is about our intellect. And it's all about discernment, right? And look at the number of power animals and totems that are in this picture. All these allies. Looks like you got red-headed woodpeckers, you've got the golden eagle, horse, buffalo, rabbit, deer, bear, big cat, wolf, fox, right? Oh, there's mice there too. Let's see if I can get that in focused. And right there, just below the buffalo, mice. But he's also wearing his eagle bonnet. It brings a lot of power, signifies a leader, a warrior, counted many coups. Yeah. I can't tell what's in his hand. Could be a riding crop or, it could be a braid of sweetgrass. I can't really tell. I'm trying to get my camera to focus for you. Doesn't want to focus. Yeah. So, with this, he has so much help. That's what all this picture is all about. Discernment. He's getting information from all of his relatives. The tree people, those that are green, right? Power animals, Earth itself, Grandmother Earth. He's bringing in a whole lot of information to make his decision about his discernment. Andrea's saying that's a great card. Speaking of guidance through dreams, I had a dream that a chair kept flying up at me and smacking me. I couldn't understand that dream until what I realized meant get your butt in the chair, meaning for me to get some work done at my desk. I laughed all day about that dream. So it was important for you to finish a piece of paperwork or reading or something, right? That it was important for that to happen. Yeah. Dreams are good that way, right? They are. And so it's about bringing in a lot of information and that we're very capable. We're very capable of bringing in information from all of our relatives. the seen and the unseen. And this is where our higher self comes into play. Our higher self is that part of us that helps us with the discernment. That's the part of us that really remembers, can gather all kinds of information for our conscious self to make that decision, how it's going to affect this earth life, right? And so when Spirit gave me these cards this morning, and it started out with our higher self, and then this reminds me of our conscious self, the intellect. So it's really blending our intuition and our mental mind. Some would say a balance of the head and the heart. And when you do that, you're walking in beauty, you're walking in balance. So that when we have to make a decision in our life, big ones, little ones, it doesn't matter, because the process is all the same, right? Is that when we are in balance, our higher self, our conscious self, and our inner child are all working aspects together to come up with the discernment. I think that's pretty impressive. It really is. I mean, to be able to take it in from that perspective. And it really, really helps for you to be grounded and centered so that you can do that kind of discernment. And trusting in your intuition, trusting in your higher self, trusting in the unseen as well as the seen. Right? So for instance, this past weekend, we were all done with the drum making, right? And we were trying to get ready to take the group picture and that sort of thing. And Rochelle's not with us today. I wish she would have been. Rochelle had a snapping turtle, a very large snapping turtle, underneath her car. And it was sitting right behind one of the front wheels. So if she backed up, she would have run over it. If she went forward, she would eventually run over it, right? And it was underneath her car. They were trying to get it out from underneath her car. But, we had snapping turtle as a power animal that came to visit. We also had two mice that also was a part of that this past weekend. We also had a garter snake. Talk about transformation, right? And the mice is about, looking at the details. Yeah. And so taking in all of that information that was going on at Minnie's house, right? And so, our allies, our power animals and our totems, they're helping us all the time. We just have to take it in. And our higher self and our inner child is going to help us to interpret it. Our higher self is the one that's doing the discernment because it knows. That part of us knows. All right, so here is the channeled message, okay, for this particular card. This is the second card. Sicun, intellect, discernment. It says, I am the Creator's gift to humanity. I separate humanity's path from all other paths in creation. As with all gifts, I am to be received by you with gratitude and used with wisdom. Through me, a human is changed from a blind follower of unknown laws to a decision maker. This requires acknowledgement of vast stimuli on the consciousness and unconscious levels. This requires an internal faith in this mechanism. This requires responsibility for actions taken. I am that which allows for this process, which allows for integration of spirit and mind. I enable you to evaluate and choose. Use me as I have been intentioned with compassion. I'm going to read that last sentence again. It says, use me as I have been intentioned with compassion. So as we do our discernment, is to discern using a good dose of compassion for whatever decisions that we're making. Yeah. So that we have that balance between our head and our heart. Pretty good stuff, I think. All right. So Rob is saying, what do you do when you get such messages that are not from anything in our ancestry or karma, to the best of our knowledge, and something which we would not seek? Well, it sounds kind of vague, but I think I understand what you're saying, Rob. I think that's where we can bring in our spiritual team and ask them for clarity. I really want to understand this. Can you bring me some more information? I'm unclear about this. It seems pretty vague, so I need some more information. So you're asking your spiritual team to bring you more information. And then you have to be aware, sensing, seeing, feeling. For instance, of course, I had a long drive back, right? And I had a lot of things to think about. Had to discern some things, right? And there was a truck that came up beside me, and it was a semi truck, right? The name of the company was Star Trucking LLC, and the numbers in there was triple fives in it, triple fives. So I took that as a clear sign. So, it's things like that maybe you sometimes they're subtle and we really have to be watchful, right? Taking it in. But to ask them to bring you more information so that you can have some clarity around it, whatever the situation is. Yeah. And sometimes, and I'm getting this, and sometimes we're given information, but it takes a while for it to unfold. So they might give us enough to be able for us to say, hey, something's going on here. And then we get a little bit more to help us to understand it, and a little bit more. And why? It's because all of it is in divine timing. Divine timing. Maybe it's not, the timing isn't quite right to be able to bring it to fruition, right? Because come on, we're two-leggeds. We're going to jump the gun. We're gonna make all kinds of assumptions, right? Yeah, and it's not a race either. It's not a race. And so maybe it's also giving you some latitude to really take in something that would be different. A different way of seeing something, a different way of experiencing something. Because every time we have the opportunity to do that, and then we take it, it expands. It expands our understanding. We see it something from a broader perspective, right? Yeah. So I would ask your spiritual team, bring in something that's a little bit more information so that you can truly understand it with some clarity. Yeah. Bobby's saying, I love signs and I'm learning to trust them, like an accidentally radio change with a song you need, maybe your seat with a number sequence, or a child speaking way beyond their years. Exactly. And being open to it. That's really all we have to do, is to be open to it. to be able to allow that information to come in. Because sometimes it's so different from what we expect that we think, oh, that can't be it. I must be imagining this, or it's so different. It's like, that cannot be for me. But what we're just doing is just we're witnessing it, right? We're taking it in. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the picture starts to come clear. You get a little bit more focus. Well, hey, Bonnie. Good to have you here. Buddy Bonnie, as Paul would say. Speaking of Paul, I almost forgot. It's Paul's birthday today. Yep. It's his birthday. So is his sister, his twin sister. Yep. Their birthday today, the 21st. Both 59 years old. And so, yeah. Gonna have a little celebration tonight. Rap says four-leggeds race out of the gate. They can't jump the gun. But we do. Two-leggeds, we do. We yeah. Sometimes we just take off on a piece of information that we think it's going in one direction, and sometimes it's like, oh, okay, let's back up a little bit or go lateral rather than moving forward so that we can understand it. I know. I am surrounded by you guys, Polly Joe. All these Geminis. Both the mothers, my mom and my mother-in-law, Paul and his twin sister. Now we add Polly Joe to the mix. I have probably, and there's Teresa. I probably have at least maybe 10 Geminis that are close to me. Close. Yeah. I need all those Geminis because of all that triple fire, all that fire I carry, right? All right, so the tradition of this particular card, the tradition is as humanity grew into its role as caretaker of the earth, the Great Spirit gave humans intellect and the knowledge of right and wrong. In modern times, the balance of intellect and intuition has been lost. This imbalance has separated us from our sisters and our brothers, the four-leggeds and the winged ones, those that crawl and those that swim. It has separated us from the elements and from the Earth Mother. Using intellect in rhythm with the heartbeat of Earth Mother is to walk in balance. So really, when we put the weight on either one of those, your intellect or your intuition, and if you put more into one or the other, you're not in balance. They're both valuable. We need both of them. And when they work in concert together, when we come from that place of balance, boy, can we really discern stuff. And we start to remember even more of our gifts, right? We remember a lot more because we're in a place to be able to do that in a balanced way. And we're taking in a heck of a lot more information in that seen and unseen. Yeah. I keep hearing this phrase, doubling down or doubling down. Yeah, because one is not more valuable than the other. It's when we start putting those labels on them ourselves, right? It's when they're out of balance that our life gets kind of rocky and challenging when we're out of balance. When we have a belief system that one is more valuable than the other. They were both gifts given to us by the Creator. And when we're in balance, we're more of a whole being than we are in our bits and pieces, right? All right, so this card, if you've been given the great power to reason and the capacity for knowledge and understanding, your intellect provides you with judgment, rational thinking, and the ability to handle new and difficult situations. This is a reminder to use it wisely. Let your mind provide you with the helpful information you need at any given moment, but be wary of getting caught up in the thinking process for its sake alone. Balance your ability to learn and reason with your ability to feel and express emotion. You've been given the power of the mind. Remember to give your heart equal time. Use your intellect to mesh thought and feeling. Gotta turn the page. As you walk your path. Both are necessary to keep you on track. Let them carry you as a team. Sometimes your heart will propel you and your mind will steer you along your course. Other times it will be your curiosity that drives you and your heart that keeps you from straying. It is your privilege to discern when to be guided by your intellect and then let your heart direct your way. One without the other will never secure your best interest. There you go, right? In balance. In balance. It says, I honor my gift of intellect, allowing the support and balance of intuition. I accept responsibility for my decisions and aim always to learn the way of balance. And I honestly, as humans, as human beings, this two-legged, I think this is one of the reasons why we're here, is this part of our soul growth, right? Is to master this balancing act, right? To master our mental thoughts, to master our emotions, to allow the full expression of both in a healthy way. Yeah. Let's see. Thank you, Andrea, and happy birthday to Paul. And Bobby's saying, like Polly Joe said earlier, if the parking space isn't there, move to next place and return to find timing. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Stephanie. Happy birthday to Paul. Bobby's saying doubling down can be Gemini, both sides. My daughter-in-law and granddaughter are both Gemini. I know, right? Doubling down. Yeah, and Paul is a twin. Hey, good to have you here, Andrea. Anytime you can show up and be with us for a bit, it's a good thing, right? Thank you for being here today. Yeah. All right. So I just have just enough time to cover the third card. These are cards we haven't had before, and especially in this combination. Okay, so Ook. And this is about satisfaction and passion. Satisfaction and passion. So you have the full sun or possibly the full moon. Can't really tell. You have a man and a woman coming together. Grounded. See, they're part tree. They're connected to Grandmother Earth. In the background, we have, I don't know if that's a wolf or a coyote. Can't tell. And it looks like we have, it could be an eagle in the background sitting in a tree. Right? Look, it's about satisfaction and passion, to walk in balance, to walk in balance. When you live with passion, you are receiving the full gift of life. I excite all the systems of your being, all your senses become acutely aware. The full current of your life surges toward the object of your passion, be it another human, a work of art or idea or principle. I am created by Maka, Earth Mother, in motion with the sun. The very law of life is satisfied, for I am experience in all of its delicious splendor. There is no line between passion and satisfaction, for only in passion is the life urged fulfilled. So I really like this one sentence in here. It says, in motion with the sun, the very law of life is satisfied, for I am experience in all of its delicious splendor. So, okay. Stephanie is saying, dog, wolves and coyotes don't hold their tails that way. Oh, okay. So the tradition is Maka, Earth Mother, created Uk to feed her children the passion and satisfaction of life. Uk is the yearning and delight between lovers, between a person and a beloved activity or thing, between a person and spiritual understanding. The balance inherent in passion is the balance among the mental, physical, and spiritual needs we must satisfy in order to feel whole. So that's what I was talking about before, right? Is that we took apart something, ourselves, that was once whole, and we took ourselves apart to examine it, to really study ourselves. And so we take a look at our higher self, our spirit self, and we look at it like it's outside of us or over there somewhere. And we even talk about it that way, like it's not us, right? And we talk about our inner child or a subconscious the same way. Like they're an aspect of us, but they're not a part of us. We see it, many people see themselves as a fraction of infractions, right? And I believe that we're pulling ourselves together. We're really honestly looking and feeling and seeing ourselves as whole beings rather than these bits and pieces. And when we can do that, we can sense the fullness of our lives, right? And then when we have the balance between our mind and our heart, and we're walking in balance, right? We're walking in balance. The balance inherent in passion is the balance among the mental, physical, and spiritual needs we must satisfy in order to feel whole. And the card meaning is passion is a stimulant, a powerful driving force that allows us to feel the essence of life. We're capable of experiencing and expressing intense emotions and responses. Allow the flow of passion in your life. When you're experiencing the passion, you are fully experiencing the moment. Experiencing the moment. Don't deny one of life's most precious gifts. Determine where your passion lies and embrace that aspect of your life. Acknowledge and accept your true feelings as they arise, and let the enthusiasm generate help you walk in balance with your emotions. Allow the passions of life and find joy. It's walking in balance and being grounded, being connected to Grandmother Earth, and truly experiencing a full life. Yeah. At the top of the hour, we're going to take all three cards. Take all three cards and take a look at them together, right? Here we go. All three cards together. Ea, the higher self, the spirit of man, was the first card, experiencing our life in its fullness as a spirit. That part of us that is so connected to the Creator that we already know the answers. We just need to remember how to do that. And then we have Sicun, which is our intellect, our conscious self. It's all about discernment, right? Then we have Unk, which is about our passion and our satisfaction. It's about living a full life. So that when we are in balance with our intellect and our heart, with our mind and our spirit, with our emotions and our mental thoughts, that we can, because we're walking in balance, we can discern. And we can, with that discernment, in a balanced way, a grounded way, we can fulfill our passions. We can live a full life. Yeah. Yay. I think that Spirit brought those cards to us to remind us that that we're more than these bits and pieces, that we're whole beings. Yeah. And that we have the capability of making decisions, discerning for ourselves when we're balanced with our mind and our heart. We can do really good, and we can actually have a very fulfilling, joyful life. Yeah, I think it's a reminder. It's a reminder that we can do this, that we're capable of doing this. We have everything that we need to be able to do this. Yeah. Bobby's saying, wow, animal with intellect is a beautiful way to view ourselves, to be awake in non-judgment thought and to have a full life experience. Exactly. You know, and that full life experience is our gift that was given to us. We have the opportunities to do that. We do. And Polly Jo is saying, seems similar to my show, Grace. Yeah, I know. Grace, the higher self, guidance through our intellect and intuition, gratitude for the satisfaction and enjoying the passion of life. Exactly. I think it's a pretty strong message today. You know, it's not, oh, I wish that could happen. You know, it's not something that's imaginary. It's real. We have the opportunities sitting right here in front of us. We have everything we need to be able to have that in our lives. We have to choose. We have to make a wise choice to live our lives in balance, to do what we have to do to be able to have balance. Heal what needs to be healed. Release what needs to be released. Possibly even look at something from a different perspective, an expanded perspective. And to remember that we're a whole being, that we're not these bits and pieces, that my higher self's over there, my inner child is over there, and they're not connected when they truly are. Yeah, it's a good one. I like this message today. It's a good one, I think. There's hope in there. You know, it feels hopeful. Yeah. All right. So I'm at the top of the hour, a little bit over. Just wanted to share with you that if anything resonated with you today, whether it was a word or a phrase or the whole thing, you know, is to embrace it and watch, sense, feel, see how the energy is unfolding around you today and where this information could be helpful, insightful. Yeah. Yeah. And if it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. There's always tomorrow, right? Yeah. I also wanted to say that that my weekly show, my evening show, is this evening, Tuesday night, May 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I have a guest this evening that's Patricia Heredia. She's one of our contributing writers here at Star Nations Magazine, and she's going to come and chat with us about her series of articles that she's been writing since January. It's all about what's up with weight gain anyway, I think is the name of the series. But it really is all about our liver. And so I hope you can join us for that. It's a fascinating piece of information that I think could be very helpful. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, the 22nd, Polly Joe's midweek show, her evening show, Soul Connections at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's all about healing and divine messages, right? Yeah, I hope you can join us for that. And Thursday is Angel Therapy with Maureen Mann. Yep. And so we have a full week of shows for you. All right. So enjoy the rest of your day this Tuesday, and hopefully we'll see you back here in the chat room this evening at 8 p.m. For some really fascinating information. With that, enjoy the rest of your day. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.